Hi, Spartans. Thank you for tuning in to Degrees of Inquiry, where we try hot sauces and ask burning questions. I'm your host, Noah Foreman, and we're filming in the Kennecott classroom. I'm joined today by the newest Dean of the Honors College, Glenn Chambers. He's a jazz aficionado, a bass player, and previously held an associate deanship with the Honors College along with other positions at MSU. As a history professor and a scholar on the modern Caribbean and African diaspora, Dean Chambers is well acquainted with navigating eras of change. Let's see how he navigates a series of 7 hot wings alongside students, faculty, and alumni. Welcome, Dean Chambers.
Thank you, Noah. It's great to be here.
Dean Chambers is joined by Becky Jo Farrington, a 2002 alumni of the Honors College and MSU's College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Becky Jo joined the Honors College as a campus admin, following an academically strong first semester on campus. She credits the Honors College as a catalyst, opening one door after another to her eventual career as a planned gift officer at MSU. We're glad you could be here, Becky Jo.
Thank you.
Ready to try the first wing?
All right,
Let's
do
do it.
You're gonna have your work cut out for you, Dean Chambers. It's not mild.
Can't wait for number 7.
Right.
My. The burning question for this level is, what has been the most moving curriculum, research opportunity, or experience you've had as an Honors College student that ultimately changed your path at Michigan State and beyond?
Yeah, thank you. And so you heard that I was an on-campus admin. I was invited to join the college after my freshman year, my first semester. I was thrilled to have been asked. And so I joined the Honors College, but I had already had my next year planned out. I didn't have a lot of room in my schedule for the Honors College classes. And so they said, well, you can do honors options, in which you go to your professors and you make a plan, maybe you do a research project, or maybe you do something else. And so I started doing that. And so that was a really important part of my Honors College experience. One of the few Honors College classes I took with my classmates and Eustace Cole was an English class. I feel bad, I can't remember the professor's name, but she was amazing. She had wonderful hair, great scarves. It was my first small group English class because I was a science major, so it was really great. And so when I decided I wanted to apply for a study abroad program in Brazil, I went to her to ask for a letter of recommendation, which she gave me. It was wonderful. So that set me off on a trip to Brazil to study with a bunch of ag and natural resources students. And at the time I was a natural science student, I think the only one on the trip. So we got to climb and hike to the top of a montane cloud forest, a montane rainforest. And so that was really interesting to me. And then also with my background in the environment, I was really interested in the recycling programs of the town we were in, Curitiba, Brazil, things like, transportation, things like that. So I sat down with the professor, and since it was 6 credits, he said I could do 2 options, so 2 papers written by hand. There's no computers where we were. And so I did a research paper on the cloud forests, and I did another on sustainability, comparing East Lansing and Lansing area with Curitiba. By the way, they were ahead of us at the time in their sustainability work, and so I said, I'm going to change my major to fisheries and wildlife, and there you have it. And so then I went on to work with the environment, an environmental nonprofit, which down a winding path led me to where I am today. So, the study abroad experience was really, a life-changing, college career-changing, and ultimately a career-changing experience for me. And the experience of doing those honors options on that trip really made it more complex and really gave me a more significant experience than I would have otherwise had. So.
I think that's an amazing story, and it's really what we like to hear, and it's what we continue to strive for in the Honors College, because so often we talk about study abroad experiences as people going somewhere and learning, all the things that they can possibly, whether it's around the course that's related to the experience or just branching out and learning about the people and culture, society, all of those things. All of those are great, right? But I think study abroads also can teach us a lot about ourselves, what we like, what we don't like, what our interests are, whether from an academic standpoint or just general life standpoint, right? And so that's why we really encourage all students at MSU, but particularly our honors college students, to study abroad. And roughly 40% of our students actually do, and we find ways to support those students, whether it's financial in certain instances or just in other types of resources.
Before I even came to Michigan State and stepped foot on campus, I studied abroad over the summer through Michigan State and went to Ireland, studied cultural perspectives of health and wellness. And for my honors option, I was able to do a compare and contrast of the US's thoughts and experiences in mental and physical health. And as I was learning about this other culture, I was learning about myself.
Mm-hmm. And that's before you even set foot on campus.
That's right.
Exactly.
I want to read your paper.
Becky Jo, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Noah.
Yes,
thank you,
thank
Dean
you.
Chambers.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Let's prep that next wing. Dean Chambers and I are joined by Professor Marcos Dantus for wing number 2. Professor Dantus is a scientist, inventor, and entrepreneur who develops ultra-fast lasers that capture and control events in trillionths of a second. He has published more than 270 research papers, holds 37 patents, and has started 4 companies, with work spanning from molecular reactions, biomedical imaging, and remote detection of hazardous materials. Welcome, Professor Dantus.
Thank you.
For this one, I have to say I'm excited for wing number 2. Wolverine breath was actually my idea. All the hot sauces were thought up by honors college students, and all the graphics were made by honors college students. But this one, I said we have to have a Wolverine breath. So hopefully it packs a little bit of a garlic kick, right?
Right.
Let's go ahead and try.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, I can feel it.
Yeah. I can do without the Wolverine, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it adds to the flavor, right? You know?
Yeah, but Spartan wings would be much better.
Agreed.
We have some Spartan hot sauces coming up later.
Okay.
Okay. As we go higher, a little more fiery, but also better. I want to know, how do we preserve rigor, originality, and independent judgment for students when powerful tools can generate answers immediately?
That is a great question, and one that I have been struggling, as a professor at MSU for some time. And my thought has been the following: students have always needed some help, right? In the old days, we went to the library, we looked in books, we asked our friends, we asked professors. And similarly, we've had the calculators and so on. And so the first reaction is, of course, oh, don't use it, right? We want, for example, at the beginning, no calculators in exam. Then we said, well, calculators are very useful. Okay, so maybe calculators. Then, books, no books in the exam. But then, wow, if you give a book in the exam, then you're not asking for memorization. You're asking for some thinking. Well, now we have this incredibly powerful tool. So the first knee reaction is, don't use it. But then, we have this very powerful tool. So if you learn to use it properly, you can go so much further. So to answer your question, we need to know how the student arrived. Let's say that you pose a question. You want to know what was the process that the student followed to get at your answer. If they looked for facts, how did they verify the facts? And then finally, which I think is very, very important, is putting the facts in perspective. And I can have examples of how we do that in undergraduate class, graduate classes, and in my research group.
Dean Chambers, what do you think? How have you seen this change the undergraduate and graduate landscape?
Yeah, I think there's a lot happening all at once, right? And so this is moving very quickly, particularly with technology. We see it around AI and other things as well, right? And so prior to being a dean, I came to Michigan State as a faculty member, right? In the classroom, doing research, writing books, as a historian, right? And so I do understand that perspective. I think because there are so many different conversations happening and things are happening so quickly, I fear that we're not always talking to each other to come up with solutions on how to deal with this. And I think that's how the Honors College is really in a unique position to do that, because our students come from all of the colleges, right? We serve the entire university. And so one thing I would like to see is for there to be more engagement with the Honors College and faculty and staff across the various units. And I think that's a way of finding a solution that's both comprehensive, right, and sustainable. And so really just to open the lines of communication, create dialogue amongst all of the colleges to come up with solutions, because I don't have the answer, right? I can't speak to what Professor Dantus is experiencing in his particular discipline, right? And how it's impacting all those various aspects. And he probably can't with mine as well, right? But collectively, if we get back to, again, communication, critical thinking, right? Teaching our students the various skill sets.
Yeah, I think that you mentioned certain points that are very, very important, which is combining everybody's experience. I also consider incredibly important the advantages that the Honors College has, in the sense that there are smaller classrooms where you can really engage with the student and you can actually go through the process and have examples.
Yes, the complex problem is being able to integrate the technology while still having students think critically.
Yeah,
That you put it
it's
exactly
a tool, right? It's a tool. It is not the solution in and of itself.
But it's a way that we can climb towards more difficult problems.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Professor, thank you very much for joining us.
Great. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the wing. It was bearable. I don't know if it's okay to say.
We're on to the next degree.
Take a quick swig and alrighty.
Awesome. Thank you. Our next guest is Corey McKenzie. He's an Honors College student who lives in this very building. Corey is a second-year student from Detroit, Michigan, studying forestry through the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Corey's been a student research assistant the entirety of his time at Michigan State and chose MSU for its research opportunities and community. He recently received the Spartan Volunteer Award for completing more than 100 community service hours in a year. Corey, thank you for making the trip downstairs to be with us today.
Great to be here.
You ready to try the next wing, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's dig in.
All right. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Starting to feel the heat a little bit.
I was a little surprised when I bit into it. It didn't taste as hot as the previous couple of wings, but now I'm getting it.
Yeah, on the back end, yeah.
Corey, spicy?
Yeah, my tongue's a little tingly.
So I have to ask both of you, how do you see the Honors College preparing students for success? And not just having you do interviews and eating fiery wings.
Of course. Yeah, so actually the Honors College has prepared me through 4 really key programs. And so starting off with like the Academic Scholars Program, which is a program for first generation and Pell eligible students in Honors College. I got the opportunity to get like some advanced advising before actually starting my schedule. And that really helped me because I got to take, or I got to add on to my course schedule an honors research seminar course. And that was a really great course because it allowed me to delve deeper into a topic that I was really interested in the discipline of circular economics. And so that kind of propelled me into the Honors College. So I just kept coming around, kept saying hi to everybody. And that allowed me to get more involved in certain programming like the Detroit Early Honors Experience program, which is for Detroit students, DPSCD students who are in 8th and ninth grade and like transitioning into, trying to understand what college is like. And so as a Detroit native, it was very meaningful to me because I also graduated from Detroit Public School, high school. And it was just a wonderful experience to continually give back. So I look forward to doing that more. And the last key way is through living in Campbell. And so Campbell has an extremely incredible community, extremely vibrant, very funny, plugged in all the time as a high achiever like these students are. When they're not plugged in, they're like some of the funniest people ever.
I'm happy to hear Corey mention programs like the Detroit Early Honors Experience, an academic scholars program. We are sort of in the pilot stage of a Lansing Early Honors program. And I think this speaks to the larger mission of the Honors College, but more importantly to the mission of Michigan State University as a land-grant institution, right? We are within, I guess, sort of the physical boundaries of Michigan State, but the impact that we have goes beyond that, right? And so these programs really give us an opportunity to go out and give back to the communities that we serve. And it also helps us, I guess from kind of a recruiting standpoint, it allows us to reach out and learn more about the communities, what the needs are, what's happening in Detroit public schools. And so if we start when the students are in the 8th and ninth grade, they get introduced to Michigan State University, they get introduced to research, they meet our faculty, graduate students, students like Corey, who are from the communities and who are actually here being successful. Once they see all of that, the hope is ultimately that more of these students, when they're juniors and seniors, they're applying to Michigan State University, right? And so I think it also these programs speak to the flexibility that the Honors College affords our students. And this is something I hear from current students, from alumni, donors, when they talk about their experiences at Michigan State, the flexibility around curriculum, the flexibility to engage in these various outreach and engagement programs, right? Just the flexibility to really develop as a scholar is what we really try to offer to our students. And programs like these are a step in that direction.
Yes, flexibility and opportunities are at the core of the Honors College.
Absolutely.
And the important thing that I've seen that helps set Spartans up for success in the Honors College is giving you opportunities that are ahead of your time, right? So we're already reaching out in 8th and ninth grade, but HC Impact, Honors College Week of Service, which I'm a mentor for, a lot of those students actually live in Campbell Hall, but they're doing this before they step foot onto campus.
Absolutely.
And even when you're on campus, you can do research the second you step foot onto campus, right? As a freshman, doing undergraduate research with graduates next to you, with PhD students, with professors directly, which you definitely have had the experience of. Dean Chambers, how do you see Campbell Hall in the future?
First, Campbell Hall is huge for the Honors College. It's a huge accomplishment for us to have this space, and I definitely, we all owe a debt of gratitude to the countless faculty, staff, donors, alumni who really contributed to this campaign. But with Campbell, it gives us the much needed space to bring all of our students together. Right? We're spread out across the entire university and all the undergraduate degree colleges. Eustace Cole just didn't have the capacity for us to have large events to bring all of these different stakeholders together. Campbell does that. I think up to this point, we've had roughly 60 events already, whether that's fireside chats with alumni and donors, whether it's faculty talks, whether it's student presentations. We had our diversity research showcase, and a whole host of other events in this space. Fall graduation reception, right, was in Campbell Hall. That's something we've never been able to do in an honors college space before. So it really helps in terms of building community and the location of it, right? We're right at the main entrance here, right off Grand River, right? And so as much as we can do activities within this particular space, it's a good launching pad for us to branch out. A lot has been done already. I'm looking forward to all of the possibilities to come for us to just be together, engage, whether on the scholarly level, a social level, or whatever the case may be, and build on that to really impact change.
You get to talk with students that are like-minded, that have similar interests,
Exactly.
and that are going in different directions, but on the same immense upward trajectory.
Exactly.
Right, I think
All
it's-
positivity.
Yes, I think it's the perfect addition to the Honors College, and I can't wait to see what's happening in the future here. With that said, Corey, thank you for joining us, and we're on to the future of our wings.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Joanna Goosis, an all-star debater and a fourth-year Honors College student, finishing degrees in James Madison College and the College of Natural Science. She recently earned a first-round at-large bid, an auto qualifier, to the National Debate Tournament for the third year in a row, securing a 30-year streak of MSU debate appearances at that competition. Her database software, created with the help of her brother, David, MSU debate alum Howard Akumia, and others, to give MSU debate a competitive edge, was covered by the Chicago Tribune. Welcome, Joanna.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Our next sauce is in honor of Mary Mayo Hall, which is supposedly haunted on campus. So let's see if there's any ghosts in this hot sauce.
That's getting hot. Definitely a couple ghosts in that one. Yeah. It's really good though.
I think it's good. I think this is definitely the threshold of where beyond this, there's not gonna be flavor, right? It's just gonna be spice.
Yeah.
We're at the last wing. I'm now getting kicked more as I'm talking.
Exactly.
We're at the last wing where there's spice and flavor, I think.
Great.
Yeah, I'm not tasting much flavor, guys. This is just heat. It's not bad though.
It's not bad, right? It's good.
Yeah.
You know what
It's
is
getting
not
worse.
bad? In fact, amazing. The MSU debate team, right? And what do you want people to know about the debate team?
I think one of the most important things about the debate team is just how hard we work and how devoted we are to it. I mean, it's an entirely extracurricular activity that we do because we love it and because we want to be a part of the legacy. It's something that, you know, is very deeply tied to MSU. We're lucky enough to have a lot of competitive success in the past few years, but also historically, we've won 3 national championships over the last couple decades. And it's a rich legacy of alumni and competitors nationally. We travel like any other sports team, really. We have a year-long season. We compete across the country. We travel as a team. We stay in hotels as a team. We do practices as a team. It's a really tight-knit group of kids at the school, but also in the community writ large.
Wow, very cool. And as you're talking, the first bit of eye sweat is
Yeah.
is coming out.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about the team's accomplishments?
Yeah, the team's had a spectacular year this year. We were lucky enough to participate in 2 semifinals, so we made it to the final 4 of 2 tournaments in the first semester this year. Hina and Ariel, 2 team members, were invited to the Baird round robin, which is an invitation-only team. My partner Steven and I were lucky enough to debate at the Dartmouth round robin, which is an invite-only team for the top 7 teams in the country. And that competitive success is, of course, due in large part to how hard the students and our staff work. We have a handful of really committed coaches that, you know, are part of the Honors College, but it's also a testament to the amount of support and resources we get from our donors. You know, traveling isn't cheap, having coaches isn't cheap, having, you know, cool merch to wear when we're competing. None of those things just happen. And so a really big reason that we've been able to have such accomplishments this year is the support we get from the university and all the alumni and donors.
You know, I can't say enough about the debate team, and I talk about them quite frequently. It's just the amazing accomplishments and the way they represent Michigan State. The fact that they have been competitive for as long as they have on a national level speaks volumes. And you know, I know not all of our debate team are Honors College members, but many of them are, and it is housed in our college, right? And so I feel on some level, we should be talking about the debate team at the university the same way we talk about a lot of our athletic teams. And the amount of dedication, the amount of research, the commitment of the staff and our donors to really supporting our students and their efforts, I think it speaks volume, and we see the results.
Yes, definitely. And I'm excited as a student hearing more about the debate team. I'd like to see how many more years we can keep that streak alive. I'm sure we'll get to at least 50.
Yeah, and there's not that many public, right, universities, right, that reach the level to where they're invited to these high-profile tournaments, right? And so they're competing with the Ivies, the elite privates, who may have a lot more name recognition or a lot more resources or what have you. And not only is our team holding its own, but it's excelling. We're winning.
And being able, as a public school, to be at the forefront along all these private universities, it's very impressive and showing just how elite the Honors College can be. So thank you, Joanna, for joining us and
thanks for having
demonstrating
me.
that. We were excited to hear about the debate team, and I'm excited to move on to the next hot sauce. As my eyes are sweating more, we have Aaron Phillip joining us. He is a fourth-year Honors College student from Los Alamos, New Mexico. Aaron is studying physics and advanced mathematics in the College of Natural Science. He's worked as a professorial assistant at MSU's Facility for Rare Isotope Beams, and his research interests lie at the intersection of theoretical physics, applied mathematics, and AI. The research experience he gained was part of the reason Aaron earned a Goldwater Scholarship, a nationally competitive award only 60 Spartans have received in university history. How are you today, Aaron?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Pretty good.
dying a little bit here from the hot sauce, but we can go hotter. Right?
Yeah.
You ready to try
let's
some
do
wings?
It. Let's do it.
For this hot sauce, I want to thank Veronica Wolf for her name suggestion.
I'll just stack up.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a good balance.
Oh, already just go.
This wasn't bad. In fact, I feel like it's helped. You okay?
Speak
Dean
for
Chambers?
yourself.
Yeah. This one wasn't bad so far. Maybe it hasn't gotten to me yet, but I feel like if anything, it helped coat my mouth from the previous swing.
Starting to feel it.
Aaron, I wanted to ask you about your research experience. What has that been like for you? What have you gained?
I guess long term, I do want to be a researcher, and I think MSU and the Honor College specifically played a pretty important role in achieving that goal. I think, like you mentioned, the professorial assistantship, the PA, was a huge part of kind of getting my foot in the door. I think that's the hardest part about research is getting your foot in the door, picking up some skills that make you useful in other contexts and other labs. So when I got here to MSU, that was a big help. I got to jump into nuclear theory, work towards my goal of being a physicist, and that opened up a lot of opportunities for me. Getting to spend a couple summers either in Miami or in Vancouver doing research projects in theoretical nuclear physics or AI. You mentioned the Goldwater Scholarship. That was something else that kind of came along the way of like working on these projects, getting to work with the DSAO and the fellowship office to craft together these nationally competitive things. And then the Honor College also helped out much more directly in terms of sending me to conferences. And I got to go to Vienna and I got to go to Boston, partially helped out by the Honor College and the DSAO. And those were all really cool opportunities that I think kind of like shaped up well for grad school. Right now, I've just been hearing back from graduate schools, and yeah, so far things have been going pretty well. And so,
Very nice. Congratulations.
thanks.
Yes, congrats. Yeah, and, I will say I first had an opportunity to hear Aaron present on some of his research. He must have been a sophomore at the time, and I was impressed by the work that he was doing at the time, right? And it's only grown, right, over the years. And I would say that's the same for many of our students, particularly those who engage in undergraduate research as part of our professorial assistantship program. And it's a program that's 40 years old now. I think initially it started with like 10 students in sort of those early years, and now it's up to where almost 400 students engage in undergraduate research. Walking in the door, as soon as they set foot, on MSU's campus, these assistantships are often awarded as part of, admission packages prior to them coming to MSU. It happens in multiple ways, right? Sometimes we're partnering students with various researchers based on what we think their interests are, and the researchers being largely faculty and staff in the various units across campus. But then sometimes it's the students have ideas of who they want to work with or what have you, and we help facilitate that. So again, it's just an opportunity to allow our students to get that experience very early. And I love the fact that Aaron is a Goldwater scholar, and by our students engaging in undergraduate research so early, it makes them that much more competitive for these awards like the Goldwater and the Truman and the Marshall and the Rhodes and others where there is a strong research component.
Yes, I always say in the spider web that is MSU, the Honors College is the dead center, right?
Yes.
We host Distinguished Student Awards Office. We have the PAs you can do in any discipline across campus. I know coming in with a PA as a freshman, I got to submit my choices of research projects to work on, topics, professors, right? And it really can partner you with someone who's gonna help set you up for your future and experiences that are gonna help set you up for your future.
Yes.
Aaron, thank you so much for joining us, talking us through your research experience.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. And yeah, good luck with the wings.
On to the next degree of inquiry or fire.
I don't know.
Kurt Berg is joining us for wing number 6. He is a 1985 graduate of the Honors College and the Eli Broad College of Business. He came to MSU from Buffalo, New York with his high school sweetheart, Terry, who is now his wife. Kurt chose MSU due to the opportunity to be in the Honors College and enjoys restoring historic cars. His love for MSU ranges from football games as a longtime season ticket holder to Broadway shows at Wharton. Thanks for being here, Kurt.
Thanks very much. My pleasure.
Let's see how hot this wing is.
Not too bad.
No, it's not. It's not horrible yet.
I'm worried about the after.
I'm very.
Yeah.
As we keep getting closer and closer, I'm getting more scared about the 7th one.
It's really good now.
It definitely builds after
And
a while.
it's building, yeah.
I feel like the other ones were attacking my tongue. This one's attacking my throat a little bit more.
Yeah.
You feeling that? No crying yet?
No crying.
No one's sweating?
But
Okay.
I'm going to start
It won't
sweating
kick
like
in soon.
broadcast news, I think, at some point here.
The burning question for this level, Kurt, is how can alumni assist in student success?
Well, I think there are a number of ways. I mean, the most obvious is through donations. There are so many areas of the campus and college that you can donate to. And the other, I think, are volunteering opportunities. I'm involved with the Distinguished Student Awards Office. They offer scholarships like the Soros Fellowship, Truman Scholarships, Marshall, Rhodes. And I'm able to help with some of the preparatory interviews for the candidates.
Yes, thanks, Kurt. First, I want to thank you for all of your contributions in terms of your time and efforts, resources to the DSAO. And I think your story speaks to what's possible with the help of alumni and donors. And I'm a dean of a college, right, at a university, and so I do understand the value of financial donations. However, that really isn't the only way to give back. And I think what we've done a good job and what we're trying to do in the Honors College is really find a way for our alum to come back and give of their time, their expertise, right? All of you have had distinguished careers, have experienced different aspects of life, and that's valuable as well, right? And so thank you for all that you do. And, I look forward to working with many more, of our prestigious alumni as we really work to enhance that office and serve more students, right? Because it doesn't just serve Honors College students. The DSAO serves the entire university.
And it's been a great experience for me as well, because many of the fellowships, they ask a student to make a proposal. And, I'm always impressed with the proposals they have. And if I can, give them a perspective sort of from the business arena about what they could do with, say, private and public partnerships, and, how would they actually put their proposal into action.
Right.
If I can help on that side of it, I really appreciate it. And it's been a great experience for me. I've enjoyed it.
One of my favorite parts, right? But many, many, many awesome things to do at Michigan State. As I'm sure you're already realizing, Dean Chambers, as the heat goes up, it's harder and harder to string words together.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is talk to alumni, because they're so knowledgeable and they just have a burning passion. See what I did there? Burning passion for Michigan State and the success of the next generation of Spartans. So thank you for all that you do. It was great having you on the show.
Thank you very much. Again, my pleasure. And definitely warm.
On to the final wing. Dean Chambers, you've graciously allowed 6 other guests to come and talk about their Honors College experience or stories. We heard about DSAO, Distinguished Students Awards Office, being in the Honors College, and debate being in the Honors College, and research across campus. Now we want to learn more about you. This sauce is named for a finals week tradition in which all students across campus scream exactly at midnight. And it is our final wing and sauce of the day. You ready for this?
Let's go.
Okay, let's do it. Cheers.
Oh, God. That's hot.
I think we need to go in for another bite.
No,
Yeah,
you're on
let's do
your
it.
own on that one. All you.
Just keeps going.
Uh-huh.
There's
Yeah.
no ceiling. Oh my. Well, Wald's building. I guess we'll start on the first question. The unofficial tagline of the Honors College is discover your path. What does that statement or saying mean to you?
For me, I guess the best way for me to talk about it is to kind of giving you a little insight as to my own path, probably. We talk a lot about a lot of things in the Honors College, right? About students having the flexibility, being able to explore different options, all of these different experiences or what have you. And I think for me, that has kind of been my path the entire time. I don't know quite how to frame it, but I guess technically I'm a first generation college student. And I say it that way because although my parents did not have college degrees, many of my aunts and uncles, their siblings, did, right? And so I grew up seeing people go to college and studying and going through the various processes or what have you to get there, right? And so I was aware of what it was and what it meant. And I grew up in a big city in Houston, Texas, but within a community that made the big city seem like a small town. And all of my family, both sides of my family, lived basically in the same neighborhood, right? And so I had a chance to see them experience all of those things. But a lot of times I think when we talk about first generation college students, it can be done from sort of a deficit model, right? As if there's something wrong or as if they're behind or this, that, and the other, or didn't have access to something, right? And I think that's true in some cases. But in my experience, looking back on it, it really was an opportunity because I was free. There were no nothing was predestined. I didn't have my parents saying I had to do this or that or go on this path or that path. I was free to explore. I was always good in school, always good academically. Never really had any issues there. I was good as an athlete as well, right? I was a football player. I was a power lifter. Those were my two main sports, and had the opportunity to play Division I football. Went to play ball. Realized ball was just okay, right? I loved school more, and then I ended up leaving the first institution and then going back home and going to school and just getting a degree. And well, not just getting a degree, but just going to school as opposed to being a football player or what have you. And then from that point on, I think for me, I'd always done other things. I'd always been a musician. I'd always read a lot. I'd always been attached to the community and worked in the community. And so when it came time to really decide what I wanted to be, I chose a profession, I think, being a professor, that allowed me to continue to do most of those things, right? Although, wouldn't see them on a football field anymore, right? But it allowed me to just follow my passions. And I think when we talk about different paths and pathways and experiences or whatever, I think it's important for the student to just be able to explore, right? And be themselves and embrace the entire university. I think sometimes too, we get narrowed down in majors, or I have to be in this major. I may not like it. I may not want it, but it leads to X, Y, and Z or what have you. There are many paths you can take. And you'll ultimately get to a place that's, I think pretty good. And, I think, for a first generation guy, from a neighborhood in Houston, Texas, who ends up being the dean of the Honors College at Michigan State University, it's not bad, right? It ended up okay. Better than okay.
Yes. You have a great story. And it's so moving. I'm crying right now.
No, that's the wings.
But no, it actually is a great story. Mm-hmm. And we see that in the Honors College too, is allowing students to explore their multi-potentiality, right?
Yes.
Giving them the opportunity to not just single focus.
Yes.
And see what else they can do in their life, right? So I like to say the best predictor of future success is past success,
right? Of
which you've had a lot of. Mm-hmm. What does the future of the Honors College look like to you?
Yeah, the future of the Honors College to me looks like, creating more opportunities for our amazing students. It's creating more opportunities for them to engage in the larger community, more opportunities for them to give back, more opportunities to work with our donors and our alumni to gain that experience that I've talked about, to create more research opportunities, right? To make this the intellectual hub of the university. I could go on and on and on, right? Because this is something that I'm really excited about and really passionate about, because there's so much potential for us to make a huge difference, not only at Michigan State, but I believe in starting close to home too, right? And so in the greater Lansing area, and then branching out to the state and to the country and beyond, right? Our students come from everywhere, from most states in the union. Just really make our mark in this world.
Yeah. The thing that stands out about Michigan State and the Honors College is that we serve as talent activators.
Yes.
Right? Students come onto campus with so much untapped potential.
Yes.
And our job as the Honors College and as Michigan State University is to help them explore that potential and reach what they can, right?
Yes.
And beyond.
Yes.
So giving them the opportunities to become new and better people.
Yes.
I think that's really the most important thing that we do. And I'm excited to see what you're going to do in the future, right? To continue to build upon that talent activation.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be in a position to do it. I'm excited to be the dean of the Honors College, and we'll keep it going from there, right?
Yes. As we hit our time, I do want to point out, it does look like you're sweating quite a lot.
Yeah, a little bit over here. It's getting a little tough.
Seeing the beads
yeah,
form all around
beads
your
are
head.
forming,
Maybe it rained on your way over here.
Yeah, just a little bit, except I've been sitting a while, right?
Thank you all for joining us for Degrees of Inquiry. I'm Honors College student Noah Foreman. Thank you to Glenn Chambers for being with us and serving as the new dean of the
Yes.
Honors College, sharing your vision and talking to students, donors, and alumni.
Thank you, and thank everyone who helped put this together. You know, it's a great opportunity, and again, I look forward to serving the Honors College. I look for and Michigan State University as a whole, and there's a lot more to come. But in the meantime, I would say, you know, go green.
Go white. Thank you again to our guests. And an additional thanks goes out to Tate Redisel and Jake Barnes, Honors College students who designed the logos and hot sauce labels you've seen throughout the show.